Right. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the RiGen Spring Series at Santa Fe Community College. It's so nice to have you with us this evening. For some of you, I know this is your first event joining us, and we're so grateful to have you here. And we're thrilled to have those of you who are returning to come back. I'm Valerie Nye, the Library Director at SFCC, and it's my pleasure to kick things off this evening. This series is a collaboration between the SFCC Library and the Creative Writing Department, and we couldn't do any of this without our continued support from the Marketing Department here at SFCC. A special thanks goes out to Emily Drabansky and Roxanne Tapia for working behind the scenes to help get the word out about these events and also to help us electronically post things afterwards. Tonight we're in for a treat with a reading by Alfredo Luján, and guiding us through the evening will be Austin Eichelberger, who is a writer, artist, and SFCC faculty member in the English and Creative Writing Department. So I will now turn things over to you, Austin, to introduce our featured reader. Welcome, Austin.
Thanks, Val. And welcome to everyone else. And Val. Welcome, Val. This creative session, or this reading is brought to you by the Santa Fe Community College Library and Creative Writing Program. Excuse me. We are thrilled to have you join us tonight for this special reading event, and we hope you will come back to celebrate the power of words and storytelling at our future events. Tonight's gathering is an invitation to those who have passion for the written word. If you've ever dreamed of becoming a writer, whether you'd like to craft compelling fiction, pen evocative poetry, or explore the world of nonfiction, SFCC is awaiting your arrival. In our program, students can earn a certificate or an associate's degree in English language creative writing. The Santa Fe Community College Creative Writing Program nurtures aspiring writers, providing them with the tools, guidance, and inspiration to take their creative endeavors to new heights. We believe that writing is not only a useful and practical skill, but an art form that has the potential to transform lives and connect people across time and space. SFCC's creative writing program is focused on your development as a writer, a reader, and a member of a creative community. Our faculty are published authors and professional editors, and our course offerings include a multi-genre workshop and an internship with the Santa Fe Literary Review, SFCC's in-print literary journal. Related degree and certificate requirements include opportunities to intern with local magazines and newspapers, as well as publishing houses, to explore the world of book arts, and to hone screenwriting skills. Students work closely with professors and peers to develop, revise, and publish creative and academic writing in a range of genres and formats. Upon completion, you'll have gained the skills and experience to submit a manuscript for publication, pursue a career in editing, or continue your studies in creative writing. You can also now complete the entire program online. Please see the chat for links to our program website, where you can see our course offerings for fall 2025, explore the program requirements, find information about the Santa Fe Literary Review, and the Kate Besser Awards, which are SFCC's very own writing awards. For those of you considering your own creative writing journey, we encourage you to ask any questions you have about the program once our event is finished. Whether you're an experienced writer looking to take a single course or a complete novice ready to explore your creative potential, we have classes and resources for you. In Santa Fe Community College's creative writing program, we believe that everyone has a story and every story is worth sharing. So tell us yours. Tonight, I am very excited to introduce Alfredo Celedón Luján. He is a career teacher. He has an MA in English and a Master's of Letters in Creative Nonfiction from the Loaf School of English. Alfredo is the former president of the National Council of Teachers of English. He identifies as a Chicano writer. His writing amplifies familiarity and place. Alfredo's writing has appeared in the New Mexico Poetry Anthology of 2023, the New Mexico Humanities Review, the Santa Fe New Mexican Holiday Magazine, Puerto del Sol, La Herencia del Norte, Trickster, Making Sense, a real-world rhetorical reader, among many other journals and books. He believes in the written and/or digital preservation of family cuentos and stories by capturing place, textures, sounds, and colloquial language. He is a Norteño who lives in Eldorado, and he is from Nambé. Please join me in welcoming Alfredo Luján.
Hello all. Buenas tardes. I would first like to thank Austin and Valerie and Santa Fe Community College for all they do for local writers. I also want to mention that April is National Poetry Month. I mostly write prose, but I will include a poem tonight to acknowledge Poetry Month. Thank you for being here. This poem is from New Mexico Poetry Anthology 2023, edited by Levi Romero and Michelle Otero. Soft touch. Mi nombre, Manuel. Manual, that's who I am. Manual labor, working hands. A peon. Peon, they say. What do they know? I don't know how to read nor write essay. I'm a gopher. They don't ask me to read or recite. I run errands, sweep, mop, gather the trash. They ask me to ask mi jefita y mi carnala to bring pozole, tortillas, frijoles, y chile, red and green, because my family don't read nor write neither. We cook and we do cositas con nuestras manos y manitas. En Nambé, la matanza, my grandpa butchered marranos, cows, sheep, goats, chickens, food for the extended family. He lassoed a borrega from a hind leg, threw the rope over the branch of an apricot tree, pulled the rope taut until you hung upside down, kicking, llorando, bleeding la madre. Grandpa tied the rope to a tree trunk. You swung back and forth with left hand on her scruff and afilado blade on his right. He stopped the pendulum. And with the sure hand, Grandpa slit the ew's throat. Blood bubbled out the open esophagus and gurgled at the trachea. The bleeding ewe instinctively sucked for survival air. Some of the thick crimson sangre dripped to the ground, but Grandpa caught most of it in a tin jumatito that he told me to take to the kitchen. And later, the organs, for Grandma amasaba, cleansed the blood antes que se cojara. And then she diced the liver, kidney, and some onions. Mix it and cook it for lunch. Fresh, homemade morcilla, para que no se echara nada a perder. El cavador. My grandpa hoed the garden, escardando, chile, maíz, peas, calabacitas, y melones. He never used gloves. His hands were hard and strong, calloused, but tender to the vegetables and familia they would feed. He held the hoe firmly, and he gracefully weeded the jardín con asada, a cadence, sas y sas, todo el día. At times, he squatted down and pulled the weeds out by hand and gently patted the earth around the plant so it grew healthy and in place. Y regaba con la agua que llegaba de la sequía de la comunidad y rezaba por la lluvia, San Isidro, Labrador. Y a cosechar, my grandpa gathered the vegetables from the garden by holding the plant with one hand and pulling the fruit away with the other. Without bruising them, he puts the vegetables into turquoise morel buckets, then bushels, then gunny sacks. I never learned those skills to butcher ewes, to cook blood and organs, to cultivate and harvest a garden, but I learned to put meat on the table, and I learned about a basket and a ball. Not far from the apricot tree, Tio Benito nailed a basket on a ply backboard, 10 feet up a telephone pole, near Grandpa's garage and dispensita, the adobe storage room for the old wood estufa and frascos of pepino, pickles, peaches, apricots, carrots, green beans, anything we freeze now. Y sacos de frijoles, chicos, garlic, onions, papas, carne seca, orejón y más were kept. The patio in front of the dispensita became our playing court. I dribbled on the dirt floor. Dust flew in the air. If it snowed, we swept it off and played. If it got muddy, we shoveled the court. If the mud froze, the court became uneven, lumpy, bumpy. The ball took erratic bounces, good for hand dexterity. ¿Saben? Dribble right, dribble left. The dispensita wall y la raya made with a stick or the heel of a shoe were out of bounds. La rayita was for free throws. Y tirando, sapos cuentan. After I learned English better, I discovered the basket was a field goal, unless it was a charity toss. Y horse, make it, take it, you do or die. 21. Y los Celtics con black Converse tennis, basketball. I stood at the top of an imaginary keyhole, chuteando field goals, swish, popping the net ese, or rattling it in. My first kiss, off the backboard. Automatic, dicho hecho, rotating the rollings on my fingertips until I could sense the seams spinning across, not up and down. So when I released the ball, it spiraled evenly backward in a high rainbow arc. I did it over and over again, touching and feeling that ball until it became a part of me. Yes, a part of me. When I grew older, I knew where the rubber had worn thin and was giving way to the air pressure. I knew where the Torito stickers had punctured my precious ball. I touched each of the 1,000 tiny little hand grips of the coarse, like an orange, surface of the ball. I knew where the air chuple was without looking because I stroked it lightly with the crown of each finger and thumb tip. Every lump, seam, lump, bump, curve, ridge, valley, y su corazón, vena, alma, y pezón was familiar to my sure, swift, calloused, hard and tender, working hands, basketball hands, manos vivas, con razón. So that's the poem. And now I'm going to read an essay from Santa Fe Nativa, edited by Rosalie Otero, Gabriel Melendez, and Enrique Lamadril, with photographs by Miguel Gander. Nuestra cornucopia. Some things never change, like pelando el chile. Yes, we still peel chili. Make that chile, Simon. The more things change, the more they remain the same. Santa Fe has changed, but Norteños have not. Grocery shopping, for example, gives one clue to how the city different has become the city divided. Grocery stores are a byproduct of the socioeconomic and population shifts that have transfigured Santa Fe. In some stores, shishi is in, but chile is out, because there's a new Santa Fean in town, one who has little or no experience with the ways of northern New Mexico. New Santa Fean and Norteño choices for grocery stores are as disparate as the contrast between old school downtown and modern day downtown. Norteños and Norteñas long for the plaza, back when Santa Fe High, Harvey Junior High, St. Michael's, and Loretto Academy were around the corner, cuando la plaza era de la gente, and the businesses were local and practical. Woolworths, Goodman's, Dunlap's, J.C. Penney, Livingston Furniture, El Paseo, the Lenzik, Las Cantinitas, Safeway, Maytag, and Sears. The mega boutique into which the plaza has morphed is more appealing to new Santa Feans, of course, because it's the only plaza they've known. The town square, surrounded by coffee houses, galleries, restaurants, and shops where guests and tourists sip their lattes and double espressos and buy glitzy, expensive mementos. The dichotomy between Old Plaza and the new town square is reflected in the grocery store chasm as well. In some stores, local is que loco, while in other stores, it's passé. As the demands for organic foods and health supplements soar, stores like Whole Foods, the Marketplace, and Wild Oats have become meccas for shoppers who feel comfortable in them. Those stores appeal to BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Land Rover, Hummer, hiker, bicycle rider, hippie transplant, environmentally correct, yippee, yuppie, sensibility, and sustainability types. The other stores remain the domain of the natives and immigrants. Smith's, Albertsons, Sam's, the old Lowe's grocery store, food emporiums with Fords, Chevys, Hondas, Toyotas, and pickup trucks parked in their lots. Stores that attract white and blue collar, no nonsense, thrifty, no political agenda, everyday shoppers. Those who don't necessarily shop in designer threads. Santa Fean and Norteño styles and shopping preferences are self-discriminating. Dime con quién andas shopping y te diré quién eres. It's a quandary. What to do? Shop uptown, downtown, or on the south side of town? Are you looking for menudo or tripe? Tortillas or white bread? Pozole or hominy? Chile verde or green chili peppers? Do you need a supply of food for when 3 generations of familia come to cenar? Or do you need ginseng, whole grains, echinacea, and a massage while you shop? Are you looking for a painkiller or un remedio? Are you homeopathic? Do you want real cookies or vegan decadence? Are you looking for a package of powdered chile at the Rancho de Santa Fe display with white corn pozole and chipotle salsa while listening to top 40s rock and roll that soothes the soul, the days of old? Or are you shopping for minerals, amino acids, and antioxidants while you listen to piped-in audio learning and world music for the inner life? Do you need whey, soy protein, or are you soy and soy? In the good old days, we shopped for food once a month. We rode on the back of a flatbed pickup truck or in the back seat of a 55 Ford Fairlane to go for los groceries and el piguele wiguele en la esquina de St. Francis y Cordova, where Wild Oats now is, or El Safeway, downtown cerca del Sears. Most of the cashiers and stockers eran conocidos, hablaban español, eran primos, compadres, comadres, vecinos. Shopping for food was the business of getting something substantial to eat. The food was organic without the label. Everybody knew everybody. The extranjeros were few and far between. Spanish, English, and Spanglish were spoken in these stores, donde nos entendíamos unos a los otros. The dialogue was authentic Northern New Mexican. ¿Y tus hijos? ¿Todos bien? ¿Todos vivos? Algunos vivos, algunos tontos, pero todos comen. Pura risa. Today, grocery shopping is a trip. With the exception of Lowe's grocery store, English is the dominant shopping language with occasional Spanglish sprinkled in. Some shoppers yearn for tofu, Sprouts, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Reporter, red chili hummus, tortilla chips, and pita bread. Others crave avocados, jalapenos, the Santa Fe New Mexican, la herencia del norte, pork fat for chicharrones, tostadas, and makings for salsa ese. Where one shops is related to what one reads. Strange, but true. Whether one snacks on potato chips, pure beef bologna sandwiches, and sardinas con cebolla, or whether she delights in celery, carrot sticks, and the deli will determine one's favorite grocery store. Do you like carne, or are you a vegetarian? Can you eat the byproducts of farm animals, or must you eat something that never had a face? Are you in the mood for reading from a classic novel at the end grocery store cafe, or do you just want to buy your food y a volar sin alas? The answers to these questions have polarized shoppers in their quest for food in Santa Fe. Of course, there are cross eaters. Some norteños and norteñas have become vegetarians. Imagine the surprise when my own daughter claimed she was a vegetarian. But hija, I told her, you eat carne seca and you eat bacon sometimes. That's different, she said. Why argue with 17-year-old logic? Okay, hijita, you're a vegetarian. Other locals have switched to healthy, low-fat diets and healthier lifestyles, even if their grandparents lived more than 90 years, eating papitas, carnes el ranchito, y huevos frescos every day. Some hummus eaters, though, have taken to the local cuisine. They love to say red, green, or Christmas, please, or veggie tamales. Veggie tamales, I wonder, recognizing the oxymoron that would offend any upstanding pig. For sure, northern New Mexico palate has evolved much like the mezcla of the people and the language. Now, we often crave the exotic: tofu, raw fish, stir fry, watercress, curry, tandoori lamb, wonton soup, egg rolls, calamari, Gino's pizza, and even Maine lobster in landlocked Santa Fe. We Greek, Italian, Thai, and Vietnamese. Yes, norteños also park their SUVs and Beamers in the lot, Simon. They also read the Times, the Post, and classical literature. We follow the market. We enjoy generational, intellectual, and tactile stimulation. Somos quien somos. So every autumn, during the harvest season, you will not find us norteños or norteñas shopping for herbal supplements at Whole Foods or Wild Oats. In a pinch, however, we might stop if there's green chili roasting in their parking lots. For the most part, we will be looking for real deals on chile verde along Cerrillos Road or Romero's and Hernandez. We will buy out the freezer bags at our favorite grocery store for packing el chile. We will be pelando y empacando. Our hands will get red hot enchiladas, so we will have to be very careful when we blow our nose or rub our eyes, and extremely careful when we take a leak. Jokes about el chile will meander with the lingering bouquet of chile rescoldado. For example, we were pelando chile under the portal one day. We had a couple of sacks steaming in a cooler to loosen the chili skin. Newspapers were spread on top of the table for wrapping the peels, stems, and seeds. There were pans of water for rinsing, cookie sheets on which we would stack the peeled chili, a cutting board and knives for chopping, and 1-quart freezer bags for packing. Another cooler was full of Cokes, water, y frias. We had chicharrones frying on the grill. Mom had made fresh tortillas. The garlic was diced. I put on my SOL cap to remind myself that some of the chile would be going to my primo Larry in California and my tias. We sat around the wooden table peeling chili, pulling the stems, cleaning out the seeds, mitoteando, and telling stories and jokes. Yeah, in the old day, people went around the pueblitos in carros de bestias or carts selling their goods, leña, fresh vegetables, tools, odds and ends, whatever. One day, a farmer was selling bushels of chile straight from his jardín, and it was healthy, macizo, long, firm chile. largo, you know. Behind them, a man was selling old and rusty shovels, square shovels, spades, round shovels, snow shovels, shovels de todas clases. But they were old, palas viejas. Bueno, there they went early in the morning, calling out their goods. The farmer in front yelled, Chile largo. Behind him, the merchant yelled, Palas viejas, Chile largo. Palas viejas. There they went, Chile largo, palas viejas. Es que all the women from the village came out of their houses with smiles on their faces, looking for that healthy chile. Another time, two spinsters arrived for a dance at the Rancho bar. They parked and got out of their car. It was a brisk autumn night. The band was on break. In the dance hall, most of the women had lined up at the one restroom while the man went outside to pee. That's the way it was back then. Juanito was tirando el chorro, relieving himself, between two cars, unnoticed, as the two women walked by. It was cold. One of the women pulled her shawl over her shoulders, turned to the other and said, "Pretty chilly." "Thank you, ma'am," Juanito said. "Thank you." Peeling chile while telling stories and jokes is ingrained in our northern New Mexican consciousness and heritage. For us, returning to the fall chile peeling ritual each year is like salmon running to their spawning grounds or squirrels storing nuts for the winter. It's in our DNA. In our cultural cornucopia, some of our elders still hang listras to dry, and then they despepitar el chile. For them, listras are not just decor. And in the fall, norteños and norteñas shop for calabacitas, not squash, a pumpkin, not a pumpkin.
What's going on?
We may be having a slight technical difficulty. Sure, if we just pause for a moment, we will find out what's happening.
I was taking a note, so I remember where he went out.
Oh, okay, great.
He warned us this might happen, so
His laptop has been acting a little funny for the last few days, so he may be popping up in another person's Zoom window to finish. Oop, and there he went.
I hope he knows he's gone.
I think he will because he seemed prepared for this possibility. So I would imagine his laptop just shut down or something. Hopefully it did do something he can notice. Yeah.
You want me to call
Maybe in a minute. I'm sure he's scrambling to try to figure it out right now. Thank you though, Chris.
Yeah.
Here we go. He's coming back in now. Are you with us, Alfredo?
I apologize.
There we go.
I had a feeling this might happen. I told you. Are we good?
yes, you're
You-
back.
We're
And
good.
Can you hear
Chris,
me?
Chris, yes, Chris was taking notes
I
of where you
cannot hear
cut.
you.
You were
Okay.
right.
All right.
After
Um,
you were right
and
after.
in the fall, norteños and norteñas shop for calabacitas, not squash, a pumpkin, not a pumpkin, cebollitas, not onions, frijoles, not pinto beans. Our portales and aisles of our favorite stores will echo our antepasados with palabras, dichos, y chistes, rich with wisdom, playful rhythms, and crafty puns. Herencias not found at Whole Foods, the marketplace, while
It may have happened again. Oh. It did seem like he knew what was happening though, because he picked up right where it cut off. So I have a feeling he'll be back in just another minute.
That's correct.
Thank you for bearing with us. This is always one of the difficulties of working purely with technology. Val and I were actually just speaking earlier tonight about how we'd like to start bringing some of these events on campus again to be in person together, because it can help with issues like this. If the microphone goes out, you can just talk louder. You know what I mean? Online, it's a little bit hard to keep projecting, but we'll wait around for another minute. I'm sure he'll be back. Thank you all for your patience. Here we go.
I'm back,
Great.
and I do apologize that Murphy's Law, as I said, Murphy's Law. All right, I think maybe we can move into a Q&A if you'd like to do that before my computer glitches again. So if we have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to answer them.
And you can just unmute yourself if you'd like to ask a question.
I cannot hear anyone else.
Okay.
I can't hear anyone. Can you hear me?
Yes. We can hear you.
Okay. I can't hear anyone.
Can you hear us?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, so everyone is welcome to ask questions. If you would like to unmute your mic and just speak, we have a small enough group we can do that. Or if you would prefer to put your question in the chat, Austin or I will read it out loud to the group. So go ahead. Chris, it looks like you've unmuted. Would you like to start us off?
Yeah, I was thinking about the beginning of the essay where Alfredo was noting all the changes from the old days. And you know, I'm an Anglo. I've been to Santa Fe, but it's been over 20 years. And so some of those things rang a bell for me. But it occurred to me that you don't have to be a citizen of Santa Fe or any of the culture there you only have to be of a certain age to understand what Alfredo is getting at. Well, you know, I'm 68, and once you hit a certain age, and it hit me maybe pretty recently in the last few years, that things ain't what they used to be. And I really like that, whether it's the old Spanish ways or Norteño ways, or whether it's just, I live in Clemson, South Carolina, which is a little town with a huge college, and things are changing here too. So I really enjoyed that part, Alfredo. I thought you captured that a little bit of a sadness, but also an acceptance of the change. So great job.
Well, thank you, and it's exactly what you said. It's a matter of hate to say it, but age, right? It's the way it was when I was a kid. It was a way different Santa Fe than it is now. I love both Santa Fe's, but I've seen these kinds of changes all over the United States. You know, I mean, you look at Middlebury, you look at any small town, and Espanola, you look at any small town, and it has changed dramatically from the times that we were little kids.
I wanted to say one other thing, and then I'll let others speak. The details are great in the poem as well as the essay. The details really were fascinating.
Thank you, Chris.
It looks like
Renee.
Renee. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. My name's Renee. Um, and this is so exciting. This is Mr. Lujan to me. He was my sixth, seventh, and eighth grade teacher at Powake, and had a profound impact on my life as a teacher and like through um, the really cool idea of Facebook in its infancy, where we could actually keep in touch with people from a distance. We've been able to reestablish contact, and so I'm so happy to be here. And that was just truly delightful to hear such a familiar voice talking about my home. And my question to you is, though, at the beginning of each thing that you read, you pointed out who had edited the work. And I just wonder if you could talk about what that process was like. And when someone edits work like this, does it truly get edited? Like, does content change, or what is that process? And yeah, just curious about that.
Well, great question, and it's good to see you, Renee. I think the last time I saw you was at the St. John's campus when Red Loaf was there. And those days when you were sixth, seventh, and eighth grader were great too. I mentioned the titles of the books and the editors as an oral citation, since I was taking from the books that published the work. I was trying to give a proper citation. The material did not change much. The poetry anthology was a blind submission. So I sent the submission in. They looked over many submissions and selected those that ended up in the anthology without knowing who had written them. So there weren't any changes in the manuscripts themselves, unless they were minor and I didn't notice them.
Most editors do, Renee, most editors reserve the right to correct like your grammar and teeny little mistakes like that without asking the author. So sometimes you do have teeny itty bitty little changes, but normally with creative writing, they try to avoid major changes because they chose it because they already liked it. And so, Adele, I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, I have sort of a few related questions. I really enjoyed the rhythm and the playfulness of the language. It was a lot of fun to listen to. I found myself when you were reading the prose piece, I was wondering when you read that, because like, man, I wish we still had wild oats in the marketplace. Like those are now gone as well. And so it was interesting to have that extra layer of like, oh man, like those, they had their moment, and they're not even here anymore. And I was also wondering how you feel about the farmers market, where I see a lot of not collision, but I see the two demographics you're talking about. I see them both pretty well represented.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering about that. And I'm also wondering if you ever write mostly in Spanish with English sprinkled in, as you did, mostly in English with Espanol for these. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Farmers market, I don't go much, to be honest with you. My wife likes to go, and I've gone occasionally, and I enjoy being there, and I see the same demographic that you're talking about. It's a mix of Norteños, both selling and buying, and also more current citizens also selling and buying, and I like being there when I've been there, but I don't go a lot. I grew up at a time when Spanish was not allowed in school, and it was like eliminated. It was stripped from our heritage. The only reason I continued to speak Spanish was because I had to communicate with my grandparents who knew no English. So my dominant language became English. And I'm not talking about English first or the English First Amendment or anything like that. It's just the dominant language of America. I don't consider it the first language of America because it's not the first language for me. I never write in Spanish with English sprinkled in because I don't have that capability. I got like a D in Spanish 1 and 2, I think, when I was in high school, because it wasn't the Spanish I knew. The Spanish I knew was colloquial. We spoke it and we never wrote it and I never read it. So I'm kind of ignorant about it. So the Spanish that I sprinkle into my writing is the colloquial Spanish that I knew, that I know.
I was going to ask, you sort of just answered it a little bit, I think. How do you choose what becomes Spanish and what remains in English in your pieces? But it sounds like a lot of it is just related to sort of what you're talking about in the vocabulary that you use, right?
Correct. It's what crosses our mind. When we were kids and weren't allowed to speak Spanish in school, our thinking was still in Spanish, but what came out of our mouth was in broken English usually, right? So as I'm writing, or as I'm writing, I'm thinking, obviously, and when I'm thinking in Spanish, I'm writing in Spanish, and then I come back in a revision and I plug in places where I think it needs clarification or translation, or sometimes I'm just like, well, I read a lot of stuff that was English that I never understood. So sometimes people have to read Spanish they don't understand.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to say one reason why I wanted to ask is because it is so understandable. I was surprised at how much I was picking up on as you were code switching between the two languages. And so I thought you had a really deft hand at knowing when to use the Spanish and when not to, so that you didn't leave readers behind and we knew enough. I just really enjoyed it. I thought that was wonderful.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it took a lot of revision and a lot of, like trying to figure out what you can plug in and what you can leave out,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
And
this is what I love about these readings, because it's one thing to read that, but hearing you just have the words roll off your tongue, and not pause between switching languages, was just beautiful to hear. So, and I had a similar question. Your prose piece, I really got the sense that was a speaking, a way of speaking. But I was wondering with the poem, if you were looking for words that just are beautiful, in one language more than another, um, or if it was the same kind of thinking that you gave to it.
Um, I don't like the word inspired that much, but what inspired that particular piece of writing was one day I did go into Wild Oats. I was in Wild Oats shopping, there I was shopping, blah, 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 and paying attention to the clientele and paying attention to, what was being sold. And there were massage chairs in Wild Oats at that time, I think, and there was a cafe and etc. And then I had to go get something else down at Smith's. And I went into Smith's and it was a whole different experience. And they were like back to back. These experiences were back to back. So then I started thinking, my mind started turning and I went like, well, wait a minute, there's a juxtaposition here. And I was able to plug it into the old plaza and the new plaza as well. So it kind of came together thematically, uh, and organically. I was literally in those stores that day and went home and started writing a journal.
do you prefer the sound of one language over another? Or sort of the like internal poetry of Spanish versus English? Do you have a preference?
No, no, I think, the words that come are the words that come through my mind are the words that come out. And then it's only through revision that I change the tone or the rhythm, or it has a lot to do with rhythm, as you said. And both, it's National Poetry Month, but I'd also like to say, once you start playing with language in prose and you start using figurative language and working in metaphors and personification and dialogue and so on, it becomes poetic as well. I once heard that Sam Shepard was a drummer, and that much of his writing had the rhythms of a drummer. And I used to be a garage rock drummer myself when I was in high school. And I started to think, yeah, there's the downbeat, there's the upbeat, there's the cymbal crash, there's the, and it all turns into rhythm. So whether it's prose or poetry, I feel like it's rhythm.
Wow, that's fascinating. That's really cool.
I can vouch for that, what you said about Sam Shepard. Someone had to point this out to me, so it's not my own idea, but he writes long passages that are in iambic iams. They're in iams. Da-dun, 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 da-dun. And one great play of his is Glengarry Glen Ross, where a lot of it is in that. Just something, it's fun to listen for it. So I know what you mean about rhythm. One other thing I liked, Alfredo, was how you talked about your grandfather's hand. Was it your grandfather?
Yes.
And you said his hands were gentle with the vegetables. And then you went off on the basketball stuff, and it was the kind of same kind of thing. Your hands were just like his hands, only in a different way with the basketball. I thought that was a really nice parallel.
That of course was fully intentional. The comparison of hands. In fact, Nora Naranjo Morse from Santa Clara Pueblo. Is that right, Renee? Is it Santa Clara Pueblo that Nora Naranjo Morse is from? I think it's Santa Clara. She wrote Mud Woman, and in Mud Woman, she had a poem called My Father's Hands, and I was fascinated. In fact, my students, and Renee, you might have been one of the writers who I used to have them write about their parents' hands, and had some fascinating pieces of writing come out of those 6th, 7th, and 8th graders at that time.
Did we have any other questions?
All right. Well,
yeah.
I'm sorry about the glitches on my computer. I had another story on piñón picking, but because of the glitches, I'm not going to read it. But piñón picking is also a very northern New Mexican thing, and I wrote a story about that.
I'm sorry we missed it. We were happy to wait for you through the glitches. It was not a problem at all. We were all happy to just hear your voice again.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you for this evening, and we'll be gathering again next week, same time. I'll be sending out a Zoom link for a new meeting, either Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday morning, so you can all look for that. And if you would like to have other people you would like to invite, please have them register, and we will send them the link and also the recordings. So we look forward to seeing you all again next week, and Alfredo will lead us in some writing exercises, which I'm really looking forward to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alfredo.
Thank you. And it's going to be a writing activity for all of us. And I'm looking forward to that, because one of the things I love the most about having been in a classroom with students or colleagues or peers is, generating language ourselves, together. So there's never a hierarchy. It's more like we all write and we all love to write. So let's do it.
Great. We'll look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a great night, everyone.